Rambam. We are learning in the teachings of Maimonides laws of different business laws. Let's get right into it. In chapter 10, excuse me. The following rules apply. When a person gives a loan to a colleague and he takes security in return, right? You're lending to somebody. Jewish law, you're not allowed to lend with interest. So you're taking now security for your loan. He's considered as a paid watchman. So now, I gave a loan and someone gave me security. They gave me their phone. What's my relationship to the phone? I'm considered like a paid watchman, right? And we learned that a paid watchman, even though I'm not getting paid, right? Literally not, but your classification of law as a guardian, because that's what the laws we're learning here, as a guardian, is a paid watchman, which means if it gets stolen, if it gets lost, I'm responsible. Okay? This applies regardless of whether he lent him money or lent him produce, and regardless whether he took the security at the time when he gave him the loan or afterwards, right? Doesn't matter. In all instances, you are considered as a paid watchman. Okay, accordingly. If the security is lost or stolen, I just mentioned this, he's responsible for its value. If the security was lost because of causes beyond the lender's control, example was taken by armed thieves or the like, the lender must take an oath and that it was lost due to forces beyond his control, and the owner of the security must repay his debt, right? Have to pay the debt until the last pruta. So here I'm the one who gave the loan. I'm watching this phone from Yankel as security, and it was thieves came, not well, yeah, it was armed thieves, and robber. It should be term robber. It's interesting. Okay, it doesn't matter, right? Robbers came, right? That's beyond my control, so I'm not responsible now for this. So now the person who owes me money, well, no, he's got to pay. You owe money, right? To the last dime you have to pay. Okay. Whenever a person tells a colleague, watch my article for me, and I will watch your article for you, it's considered as if the owner was employed by the watchman. Therefore, the watchman is not liable, even if the object was destroyed by the watchman's negligence. Huh. Oh, right. Because there's a unique law that if you hire the person at the time that you borrow something from them, and you hired them, so now you're not liable. That's what it's talking about. Okay. If, however, he tells a colleague, watch an article for me today, and I will watch an article for you tomorrow. Right? Today I'm going out of town. Tomorrow you're going out of town. So let's trade off, right? Lend me an article today and I will lend you an article tomorrow. Similar idea. Watch an article for me today and I'll lend you an article tomorrow. Or lend me an article today and I'll watch an article for you tomorrow. They are each considered to be paid watchmen for the other. Because you didn't hire the other person in that moment to do something at the same time as you lent them or borrowed them, lent them or borrowed from them, right? all craftsmen are considered to be a paid watchman. So if you take your shoes to the shoemaker, that shoemaker is a guardian over your shoes. What's his responsibility? What's called a paid a watchman, right? Why would he be paid? He's not getting paid to watch it. Well, he's getting paid to fix it. So, it's a similar idea, right?
It should keep it in such a way that it will not be lost or stolen pieces.
Right. Exactly. That's not but that's working the other backwards to Jewish law.
Okay.
You're using your logic, right? Which I get. You using your logic. It's logical what you said, right? I'm giving you. You should be responsible for it. That's how the Torah law works. How's Torah law works? What do we classify this as? What's the classification? What kind of watchman are you? Are you a non-paid watchman? Are you a paid watchman? Right? So we need to put you into a classification. So based on, so then the question is, based on what? Why would you be put in that classification? Right? Then we would use reasoning to understand which the classification, right? Because the Torah gives us the four classifications. It's actually four different types of guardians. Guardian that gets paid, a guardian that doesn't get paid. A renter is also a guardian, right? I rented the plow from you. So I'm a guardian over the plow, right? What's my classification? What is that? That's a different type of, what's the classification? And then there's a borrower, right? I borrowed something. I borrowed the plow. It's not a renter, different classification, different law. So we need to know in everything, what's its classification that I have someone else's object. And therefore that will be my responsibility, and based on that classification, what the law of that classification is. Now, to know sometimes when it's not so obvious, so that what to make it similar to, that's where the rationale will come in, right? But see, you're right.
So classification first, and then how they.
Then there'll be an argument. It can be an argument. Is it more like this? Is it more like that? And that's where you're going to have arguments in the Talmud, right? So he's saying all craftsmen have this classification of a paid watchman. Whenever a craftsman says, take your article and pay for it, right? Or I have completed it. And the owner does not take the article. The craftsman is not going to be an unpaid watchman from that time onward. Right? Because he's now saying, I'm finished with it. Take it. So my responsibility towards the article, I'm relinquishing. So I'm not a paid watchman anymore at that point, right? You kept it here, so I'm not a paid watchman anymore. If, however, the craftsman says, bring money and take the article, it's considered a paid watchman as before. Why? Because you didn't give the money yet, right? In other words, if I say here, take your shoes and pay, means I want you to first take the shoes, even if you're not paying at this moment, but take the shoes. I don't want to be responsible for it anymore. If I'm saying pay and then take, then I'm considered until you pay, right? The first instance, you could take it and then you didn't pay, right? Distinction. Okay, number 4. If a person gives an article to a craftsman to fix, and the craftsman ruins it, the craftsman is liable to make restitution. What does it imply? If a person gives a carpenter a chest, a box, or a closet to place a nail into, and he breaks the article, he must make restitution. So if a person gives a carpenter the wood to make a chest, a box, a closet, and then breaks them before he completes making them, the carpenter must pay the employer for the chest, the box, and the closet. The rationale is the craftsman does not acquire a share in the increase of the value of the article. If the person gives a craftsman wool or to dye, and the vat is which he dyes its wool until the water evaporates, thus destroying the wool, the dyer must reimburse the owner for his wool. The following rules apply in ensuring in the ensuing situations. The dyer dyed the wool unattractively. The owner asked him to dye it red, and he dyed it black. He asked him to dye it black, and he dyed it red. Or he gave him wood to the carpenter to make an attractive chair, and he made a poor chair or a bench. In all these instances, if the increase of the value of the article exceeds the cost, the owner of the article is required to pay. All the owner is the cost. So he didn't do a good job. So all he has to do is pay the cost. In other words, not for the value of the thing, because he didn't do what he wanted, right? If the cost exceeds the increase of the value of the article, all the owner requires to pay is the increase of the value of the article. So he pays the lower of the less because he did not do a proper job. If the owner of the article says, I do not desire this dispensation, I would prefer that you give me the value of the wool or the value of the wood, we do not heed his request. Others disagree with the Rambam. Okay, conversely, the craftsman says, here's the cost of your wool or your wood depart. He is not heeded. Rationale, the craftsman does not acquire a share in the increase of the value of the articles. Okay, very good. Okay, we're going to stop here. Thank you, folks. What an amazing, great day. Oh, let's see what happened over here. Oh, it was streaming on YouTube now. Now YouTube worked. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Sorry,
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Good day.